What if? What if the way that you've been going about trying to achieve your goals is actually meaning that you're further away from your goals? And what if there was a simpler way that if you move towards this simpler way would enable you to get more of what you want, when you want, feel the things that you want to feel, and literally be able to have everything that you want in a matter of seconds? This concept that I'm kind of talking about, I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of researching over the past 6 months around the concept of identity. Many different teachers speak on this. Joe Dispenza speaks on it. Neville Goddard is a famous teacher that speaks on it. And what they fundamentally talk about is how we all in any given moment are making a decision to be the person that we're being. How we show up in any given moment is our decision, and we are choosing it, but most of the time we're making the decision at an unconscious level. Kind of leans into, you think about this concept of kind of introvert and extrovert. Some people will consider themselves an introvert, and other people will consider themselves to be an extrovert. Whether one person is an introvert or an extrovert or not is a matter of their belief, is a matter of the story they tell themselves. But here's another interesting thing. Maybe you can relate to this. Have you ever had the experience of being kind of maybe quiet in one environment, but then maybe louder and more vocal in another? Say maybe in the workplace, you're more conservative, but then maybe you have a little bit of alcohol and you're hanging out with your friends, and all of a sudden your kind of true nature comes to the fore. It kind of presupposes that in any given moment, we are making a decision. We're making a decision as to how we show up, how we be. And that the beauty of this is that when we realize that we are deciding how to be and how to show up, that when we consciously become aware of that, it makes us realize that if we want, like if we're not happy with the way that we're showing up, we can make a conscious decision to change it. Now, this is kind of a few things that I want to kind of share with you that I think are really, really relevant to this. So recently I watched a show with my wife Sati called Dark Matter. If you've not seen it, it's on Apple TV, and it's Joel Edgerton. And in this show, basically Joel Edgerton goes, he's a normal guy, he works in science at university, married with a kind of 16-year-old son. And he gets kidnapped. And all of a sudden he finds himself in a place that is completely unfamiliar to him. And it turns out that the person that kidnapped him was another version of him from a parallel universe. Now, bear with me, obviously, sounds far-fetched, but isn't that kind of the point of TV? To stretch our imagination. And what happens is this other version of Joel Edgerton, basically he became a famous scientist and became super successful, but then he realized that what he had achieved wasn't what he really wanted. And then he made this kind of, I'm not going to say time travel, but he made this kind of box that enabled him to kind of bend time and get into the reality where he was married with a child. And then he kidnapped his other self and put him in his other world, right? And obviously the other version of him kind of quite likes the fact that he's now a famous scientist, but he doesn't like it as much as wanting to get back to his family. And then the whole show is about him, the original one, trying to get back to his family. And the point being is that the two versions of the main character in the show are very different. One is very successful and career driven. The other one is more family orientated, and he's more about fulfillment, and he's more about inner contentment. And there are other, I think, examples of this. If you've seen The Family Man with Nicolas Cage, where he has a glimpse of what his life could have been like. Gwyneth Paltrow starred in the movie Sliding Doors, and obviously she has a completely different life than if she'd, I think, was it got off the train or not? I can't remember. Anyway, my point being is that in any given moment, we are deciding how to be. Like, we are making a decision how to show up in any given moment. A couple of weeks ago, I was baptized, and I made a decision. I set a very clear intention before being baptized that I was going to come out of that water a completely new person. Now, I remember having a WhatsApp conversation with somebody in the following days, and they said, you're not the same, you're not a different person, you're exactly the same. And I didn't get into a kind of an argument or a conversation with this person, because that person is entitled to that belief and I'm entitled to mine. And here's the thing, most of life is just beliefs. Like, most of us are going through life, living our life according to our beliefs. The problem with that is that life actually is really about truth. The problem is that most people think life is about beliefs. Like, I believe it's blue, you believe it's purple, and then we have an argument about it. And a lot of people have, and I'm guilty of this, I'm not going to say that I'm not, but a lot of people, me included, will often have conflicts with people simply because of their beliefs. And so the challenge with beliefs are often, if we're so chained to our belief that we believe that it's true, that can create resistance, that can create problems in relationships, and it can also create problems where we have an opportunity to do something new, to expand ourselves, but we don't do it because we believe something. Like, no, that's not for me, I'm an introvert. I couldn't go to the gym because all the people there are posing, they're going to look at me and all this kind of stuff, right? That's just belief. It isn't true. And when we recognize that what we believe is just a belief, as if we're willing to accept that, whatever we believe is really kind of, we should put like a little asterisk at the bottom, subject to change. In my early 20s, I got into personal development. And I remember getting criticized when I would change my mind a lot. And I criticized myself when I changed my mind a lot. What I've now since realized is that's actually a really good thing. Like, I was not so attached to what I believed that I wasn't willing to have it challenged and changed. And so I believe there's a lot of benefit to being flexible in your beliefs and your opinions. And you may hear that now and go, well, I don't think that's true. Either way, I'm not right, and neither are you if you're the viewer, right? The point is that how we're showing up in the world can be changed as quickly as changing the channel on a TV remote. Like, we don't have to be in a make-believe Apple TV to make a different decision to be a new person. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I went through a training around creating funny adverts for like social media. I never created a funny advert before. And I went through this 3-day challenge with a coach. She's an expert in it. She's made millions of pounds doing funny advertisements. I'd never done a funny ad before. And the next thing you know, I'm wearing wigs. I'm doing headstands against the wall outside of our house. I'm putting silly voices on and doing ads with my daughter's Barbie car and speedboat. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, I've realized, hey, I think I quite like this whole funny ad thing. Isn't it interesting? Sometimes all it takes is a change of environment for us to recognize that who we think we are is, going back to that little asterisk, subject to change. Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, they talk about this concept of, who you spend time with is who you become. I often reference in some of my content, I talk about, if you put a really, kind of like me really, as a kid, I was very much open and receptive and would kind of do anything anybody said to a larger extent, which was dangerous and risky, but it was also really helpful in some respects, and I kind of got lucky. But if you put like a 14-year-old kid in a gang in London and he's there for a year, it's likely that he's going to be either dead in prison or running the gang within a few years. Put the same 16-year-old or 15-year-old kid at Google for 2 years, and he or her will probably either be kind of moving up the divisions or left to create their own kind of app or crazy AI thing, right? So it really is, also we're influenced heavily by who we spend time with is who we become. I mean, recently in the news in the United Kingdom, we've had this awful stabbing incident in Southport near Liverpool. And you've got the tale of two people. You've got the one boy who's committed these horrendous crimes, And then you've got the story of another boy, which I read on LinkedIn yesterday, who was driving by. He's like a personal trainer. He heard screams from inside the building. He went in and helped apprehend the stabber. What has happened in the lives of those two people that have made them make completely different decisions? You know, Tony Robbins says it's in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. A lot of people think that life is just random and it's just the hand that they've been dealt. Like, these are the cards I've been dealt. This is all I can do. I'm a teacher. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not as good as he, she, or they are. When all of it is story, all of it is beliefs. There's not many truths in life. You know, we need oxygen to breathe, and one day we're going to die. There's not many truths in life. Most of us are living our lives according to our beliefs. And so how do you change that? Like, you know, if you're listening, and so if what you're saying, Miles, is I can be a completely different person. Like, I can play in the NBA tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, right now, I believe, according to like the show Dark Matter, I believe that right now there are other versions of you doing other things. I believe that there are versions of you right now that exist, that are doing things that you're not doing, but you could be doing. And I think actually an indicator to know where there is something that right now there is a parallel version of you doing something is when you see somebody doing something, and whether you're comparing yourself or it's imposter syndrome, if you see somebody doing something and you think you'd like to do that, that's a strong indicator that there's a parallel universe version of you that's doing that. Like, I have for a long time been seeing people in studios doing really nice podcasts, and I haven't done that yet. Like, I've kind of been recording these videos in my house, but I haven't been doing the whole nice studio setup for a podcast until now. Like, literally this month, Satty and I are going in the studio and we're going to sit down and do a kind of a test run of a relationship podcast together. Part of the reason I'm doing it is because I want to try on the identity of what it will feel like and see if that's something I want to do. Like the funny ads that I spoke about last week. You know, in a couple of weeks, I'm doing my first skydive. I've never done a skydive before. So for me, it's about doing things. So if you want to kind of know, well, how do I do this identity shifting thing? It's about doing things that the old identity within you wouldn't usually do. So like, think of something that you think you would never do. And I'm talking about safe stuff. Like for me, the funny ads, I was like, I've never done that before. So I was like, I want to do it. This past, 4 or 5 months, I've been doing these videos that are completely different to the way that I usually would do videos. My videos years ago were like motivation. They were like high energy. They were on membership sales for gyms. They were on life coach training. These kind of videos are completely different, which is exactly why I'm doing them. Because I want to see if this feels like something that vibes with me. This feels like something that I want to commit more energy and time and effort towards, and maybe build a purpose-built kind of business around, right? So I think it all starts with habits. It all starts with actions. So like right now, I believe inside of you, you have kind of two identities. You've got the old you and the new you. If there's a voice inside of you that says, I can't do X, Y, Z, all that is the old you fighting the new you. And the old you is going to be stronger right now than the new you because it's been with you your whole life. The old you, you're going to be doing more things more often that are certain and safe than you're going to do things that are unsafe and uncertain. And human needs, according to Tony Robbins, we all have 6 of them. One of them is certainty, one of them is uncertainty. As human beings, we tend to go towards certainty because our brain is hardwired to keep us safe. Like we don't want to die. We don't want bad things to happen. So you've got to know that when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone and upgrading your identity, you've got to know that your brain isn't on your side. Like your brain is literally hardwired to keep you safe. And what you've also got to know is if you're thinking, well, what is the point of all this? The point of all this is At the end of our lives, I truly believe, at the end of our lives, we'll look back on our lives and it won't be about what we achieve. It'll be about, did we have more positive feelings or negative feelings? Because I believe the purpose of a goal is not really to achieve the goal, it's the feeling that we think that goal is going to give us. So if you want more good feelings rather than bad feelings, then you've got to do more stuff that's going to give you more good feelings and bad feelings. How do you get more good feelings and bad feelings? Take action in spite of fear, and know that fear is a sign that you're doing something that is bringing you into a new version of you. False evidence appearing real, right? Fear. None of it's real. It's false evidence. It's appearing real because the old identity is making it seem like it's real, but it's not real. It's just a myth. And just, going back to what I said earlier, that doesn't mean that you can go and play for the NBA, because that's a process, right? There's a recipe to that. You may be at an age where it's too late to do that. I'm not saying you can do anything, but what I am saying in this video is you can expand your true potential and be and do more and amplify that which is great in you. And at the end of the day, if there are goals within you that you want to achieve that you haven't achieved yet, you've got to know that for you to achieve them, it's going to require a new you. Because the old you won't get you there. I think it's Albert Einstein that said, you can't achieve a new goal with the same level of thinking that put you where you are right now. The thinking that you have right now has to change. But the great thing to know is your mind is a computer. And so because it's a computer, it can be adapted and changed, and the software can be updated and upgraded, and you can delete the viruses and the old software and all that kind of stuff, right? That's the beauty of the brain. How do I know that's true? Well, because once upon a time we were cavemen, and here we are now in the modern world, and I'm talking to you through a camera, broadcasting on whichever platform you're watching, right? So human beings, we can make some amazing changes. We've just got to make the decision that we want to do that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. If you've enjoyed it, feel free. Love you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching it in some kind of reel form, then feel free to just comment below. I'll share the link to the YouTube channel if you want to see more videos like this. You want to see the longer form videos. But yeah, other than that, love to hear from you, hear what you're going to do to make some changes in your life to make yourself upgrade to the new best version of you. That's it for me. See you next time. Goodbye.